Hey there, Chadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. Today we have a returning guest. So you know what it means when a guest returns. It's because they made an impact the first time around, and we got a good response, and a lot of people got a lot of valuable nuggets that they were applying in their business and getting results from it. So we're like, we want our audience to get more results. We want our audience to keep on leveling up and going to the next level, regardless of what is happening in the market conditions. So we got Jess back on the show, who does not really need an introduction, but for some of you guys that may have not watched the first video, the first podcast episode, Jess, introduce yourself. Tell everyone why you're so awesome and why they got to pay attention to what we're going to talk about
that
today.
was an introduction and a half. I'm Jess Lenouvel. If you don't know who I am and you haven't heard the last episode, I was an agent for about 15 years. I sold actively, grew up in the industry. My mom has had a license for about 35 years. I just wrote a book called More Money, Less Hustle, Becoming the Seven-Figure Real Estate Agent. I had a multi-seven-figure real estate business myself when I was selling, and now I teach agents how to scale to seven figures with freedom. With freedom, I think, is the key here. So it's not a hustle and a grind type of seven-figure business. It's a seven-figure business that allows you to really take advantage of the three things or the three reasons why we get into real estate in the first place, which is unlimited income, being able to set your own schedule and have real freedom, and being able to help as many people as possible. That's the whole shebang.
I love it. I love it. Jess, I'm already like, we're not even 1 minute, and I'm already taking notes for where I want to take this and how do I want to pick your brain and how do I ask all these hard questions? First of all, I just want to acknowledge you for, being an author and really putting yourself out there and giving of yourself and your knowledge and your expertise into a book. And that says a lot about, who you are and what you stand for, for the industry and helping people out. And that's exactly why we love people like you coming on the show. And I have a lot of questions already just from the title of the book. More money is obviously something that, a lot of people are striving for. And I love the fact that you actually followed up the words more money with less hustle, because hustle is something that's ingrained in the minds of people. Like, if you want to make it, you got to go out there and you got to hustle. And a lot of people just don't feel like that hustle is in their DNA, or it makes them feel like very unauthentic, makes them feel like they have to take advantage of people and they have to take advantage of their health and their energy and their family and the sacrifice and stuff like that. And for the people that do it, God bless you. We love you anyways. However, when we are speaking to the majority, I think that is a word that a lot of people just want to stay away from. So can you talk a little bit about how you came up with that title and what that really means?
Well, I think that we've come out of an era of that hustle mentality. I think that for a long time, everybody, it was the sexy thing, the crushing it era, the no pain, no gain. And I think where we ended up was with a lot of really burnt out, unhappy agents. And that's not the reason why anybody gets into this business. I've been there myself. The first time I got to seven figures, I did it alone with no leverage, and it was awful. It was extremely stressful. It was, I remember one specific instance where my phone rang and I cried, and I handed my phone in tears to my husband and asked him to answer the phone and take a message for me. And, I grew up in the era too of, do everything manually. Really, if you have to figure out how to be motivated every day, you have to show up even when you don't want to show up. And I think that what ends up happening is we end up in a situation where this business that we fell in love with, that we wanted to, spend our lives doing, it actually ends up kind of sucking all the life out of us. And so it was really important for me. I mean, I was never that person who wanted to write a book. I never grew up thinking, one day I'm going to be an author. But so many people over time kept asking, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? And the feedback that I was getting from all of these agents who were reading a lot of books that are available out there were that they were being taught over and over again that things had to be hard. And we live in this beautiful time where, in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, we didn't have the technology that we have today. The internet wasn't as prolific as it is today. And we didn't have the ability to build the kinds of businesses that are available to us today. So I really felt like I had kind of a duty to write this book. And the More Money, Less Hustle title was, that is probably the most difficult thing about writing a book, is actually giving it a title. Harder than any other part of it, right? The book really kind of like flew out of me. But the title was something that I wanted it to be something that really spoke to what was actually in the pages. And that's what it is at the end of the day. It's 7 figures with freedom. It's more with less of yourself having to be given to the business over time. I'm not saying that you should never hustle. I'm not saying that there aren't seasons of your business that you work really hard, but I think that the actual model, the foundations of the way that you build your business and the decisions that you make should always be in the direction of more for less, more efficiency, less output, and being able to build something that serves you. Most people don't get into this industry thinking this is their reason for being on this planet, that they were born only to sell real estate. Real estate is supposed to be the vehicle to the life that you want. And I think that gets forgotten along the way a lot of the time.
And then you get stuck running the cycle of like, why did I get involved in this business to begin with, for me to have the freedom? And it's like, where is the freedom kind of thing is? And I think a lot of people never experience that because they're missing something that you already mentioned, and that is the foundation. So, and I'm willing to guess that there is a select few of our listeners who just can't, fathom the idea of actually making 7 figures. And some really have a deep desire to make 7 figures or multiple 6 figures for whatever that looks like for them. However, they just forget about the foundation, because without the foundation, you're going to be, up, down, up, down. You're going to be riding the roller coaster. So what I'd like to know is, what does the 7-figure foundation look like?
So first I want to start with why I teach 7 figures. Because for a lot of people, you're right. 7 figures seems like this crazy pipe dream. Now, the reason why I teach 7 figures is because that really allows for true freedom. And the way that I define freedom is being able to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want. It really is freedom of choice. And until you hit that 7 figures, it's very difficult to properly, fully leverage your business and have a team also. And I don't teach expansion teams. I don't teach really large teams. I teach small, lean teams, but those people still need to also be living their vision, and those people also do need to be really happy if you want to have long-term stability in your business. So I've always said, and there's lots of people who don't like it when I say this, but a lot of the time when we think about real estate and we're getting into real estate in the first place, we think, wouldn't it be amazing to make like multi 6 figures? Wouldn't it be great to make like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000? In my opinion, that's actually one of the most painful places to be in your business, because you are successful, you have income, but you don't have enough revenue or enough movement in that, or enough capital or enough liquidity, however you want to look at it, to be able to leverage fully. So you're still wearing every hat in your business. And so you have money and you have disposable income personally, but you don't necessarily have what it takes to properly and fully leverage out your business. And so, we have people in our programs who they want to sell their business in 3 years for, multi 7 figures. Fine. That we have other people who want to build a 7-figure business where they're out of production. Fine. We also have other people who want to build like an 8-figure business, an 8-figure a year revenue generating business, and they want to be in it. They want to be the face and the brand. And those are very different businesses that you're building. And the foundations for those are going to be the same, but the ways to get there along the way are going to be different. And so there's not one way to build a business. And I think that that's really important to remember. So many of us have been taught that there's only one path to having a team, being successful, exactly what it should look like. And that's 100% not the case. There are people whose strengths are being the visionary, being the face, being the brand, being the mover and the shaker. I call it being the dancing bear of the business. We also have other people who they're integrators. Their strengths, their innate capabilities is operations, systems, operations, efficiency. And a business needs both of those things, but there's not one or the other that a team leader or the owner of that organization or business should be doing. It's purely based on the person and their innate skills. So with that being said, moving into that kind of that 7-figure, or that idea of a 7-figure business, is so that you can actually get to a point where you are operating purely in your zone of genius and you're not having to constantly be doing things that drain your energy or that you're not good at. And there's always going to be someone who you can hire or who you can outsource, or a piece of technology that is going to do that job better than you can. So it really comes down to, how can you get to a point where you can work less, more efficiently, with a higher return, and then everything else in your business can be eliminated, automated, or outsourced, which comes from Tim Ferriss. So that part of it is important.
Right. And I think
No,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I'm thinking, as I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about this, and it sounds like so beautiful, and I think anybody that listens to your words is going to say, well, I really want that. I
Yeah.
would love that. I want to discover my zone of genius. I only want to do what I'm good at, and I definitely want to employ, whether it's technology or, or other people to, run the
Yeah.
background, or do whatever they, need to do in order for me to, operate the kind of business that I want. And I think even before that step, because as somebody's experiencing what we're talking about, there's got to be like a voice in the back of somebody's mind that says, like, number one, it's going to say it's going to take a lot of work. Number two, it's going to say, like, can you really do it? Is it really possible? Like doubt
100%.
is going to creep in. Like, somebody's going to get excited about the topic. Yeah, I want more money. I want less hustle. But then doubt is going to creep in. And I think if someone doesn't
Yeah.
address the doubt and create the belief system, then they're going to be building a foundation on sand that's going to collapse sooner or later. So I think it'd be very important for us to
Yeah.
speak a little bit about that, so we can give people in the right mindset as we dive into the actual steps to build a 7-figure business.
Absolutely. And so I think from
So
a
what are your thoughts? What would you
Okay,
say?
so from a belief system standpoint, I think that there's a lot of people who. So I'll give you an example. I hosted a mastermind at my house at the beginning of May, and everybody who was there was, a multi 6 or 7-figure business. But there was one agent that was there that was, she's doing 6 or 7 million in GCI a year. So she's a little bit ahead of everyone else who was in the room. And the number one thing that I heard after day one of all of us being together and working together and in this mastermind was, oh my gosh, she's so normal. And she's just like us. She's silly and she's funny. And, what she built, like, being in that room with her allowed all of them to see that, is she special? Of course, everyone's special. But if she can do it, so can they. And I think so often what ends up happening is the circle that we're around really changes what we think is possible. And you hear the cliche all the time of, like, you are the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I would say that if you want to be able to shift what you believe is possible, or you feel that doubt, surround yourself with bigger thinking people. Surround yourself with people who are doing big things and talking a big game, because those are the people who you're going to see are are, if they can do it, so can you. I went to a mastermind myself in Croatia in June, and I was sitting in a pool with this guy who does $12 billion a year. And he was very, very smart, very experienced. But I also realized, I was like, I don't know that he's that much smarter than I am. He's just got more experience. He's done more things. He's taken more risks. And he is, he's changed his norm. His normal started at the baseline. At one point in his life, he was making $100,000, just like everyone else. And then he upgraded and upgraded and upgraded and grew and grew and grew. And what he believed that he was worthy of and what he believed was his normal continued to expand. And being around people like that, there's no better way to show yourself that like bigger things are possible than seeing other people who are just like you doing bigger things.
So in order for me to upgrade my business, I first need to upgrade, obviously, the mindset. And in order for me to do that, I need to upgrade the people I'm around, I'm hanging out with, the people I'm in conversations with, etc. So for our audience, I think it would be a great idea for you right now to just audit, for the next 1 week. Just audit the people that you are engaging in conversation with, the people that you're listening to, the people that are coming into your circle, that are coming into your energy frequency. And at the end of any and all interactions, what I would love for you to do is just write down the name of that individual. And then to the right of that name, I want you to put like a plus sign if they left you feeling, if they upgraded you, if they left you feeling better than your first interaction with them. And put an equal sign if it's just neutral. At least we know that that's a neutral friend, etc. And if they left you feeling in a place of not as good as when they entered your space, then put a negative sign. And that right there is your indication of who you need to spend less time with and who you need to spend more time with. And if you ain't got enough people with the plus sign, then that's simply a sign for you to go out there and make network and get yourself some new friends. I think Jess has got a great network. I got a great network of like-minded people that you need to be introduced to and hang out with. So that's number one. Okay. So I love the fact that you use that example of like that woman that's doing 6-7 figures, and everyone was like, she's silly like us. She laughs like us. She plays like us. She's normal.
100%. And that's the thing, is that we're all just people doing our best. There's nothing crazy. We all kind of started with the same tools for the most part, right? And I think that what we allow ourselves to do is get in our heads and worry about the imposter syndrome and the worthiness and, why me when someone else has more experience, or whatever story it is that we tell ourselves. And as soon as we're able to start to recognize some of those stories, we're able to realize that they don't actually make sense, and that there's no one that is more or less worthy of anything than you are. It's just a matter of who's actually going to do the thing to get to the result. So there's a framework, and forgive me, I don't remember where it's not mine. I learned it from someone, but it's called BETDAR. So BETDAR. And basically what it does is it links all of the different, from a mindset standpoint, it links all of the different steps to results. So beliefs, which are the first thing that you have to address. Beliefs impact emotions. Emotions impact thoughts. Thoughts impact decisions. Decisions impact actions. Actions impact results. And so they're all connected, which is why everyone says, it's, the mindset side of it is so crucial, but it's always the part that most agents are resisting. They're not doing that inner mindset work because all they're focusing on are actions and results. Well, if you get up in the morning and you are struggling to do the things that you need to do in order to move your business forward, it's very easy to say, there's something wrong with me, or I'm not worthy, or I'm procrastinating, when what you've done is you've skipped all of these steps and you've gone to action and results without going to beliefs and emotion. And it's all a spectrum, and it all starts initially with the belief. And so instead of being so hard on yourself, you need to go right back to basics, and you need to go back to what are your inherent beliefs, what are the innate thoughts that you're having, and be able to work on those before you can expect anything in the action results side of things.
I love that, Jess. And does one thing come to mind for you that you could share with our audience that they could participate in on their own every single day? Like a little quick hack, exercise, something that will help them shape and upgrade their belief
I
system
think the
in
number
due
one
time?
mistake that I see agents make is that they look at their phone first thing in the morning. You do not look at your phone for the first hour that you are awake, because you have to take care of you before the world gets access to you. And it doesn't have to look the same. I'm not a believer that you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be successful. I am not a 5 a.m. riser. I think that it works for some and not for others. But I am a believer that the way that you start your day will completely impact how the rest of the day goes. So if you don't get yourself right first thing in the morning, then all you're doing is being your whole sense of being is being impacted or reactive to whatever's coming at you. So find what works for you. For me, I journal every morning. I sit down with my journal. I actually sometimes journal twice a day, depending on how I'm feeling and what I'm dealing with. So I sit down. What works for me is I sit down and I journal about anything that's on my mind, anything that I woke up with, whether it's positive or negative. I set an intention for the day in terms of how I want to feel, and then I put something positive out into the world. So I'll send a text message of appreciation to someone. And I find that for me, that works really well.
I love that.
And then I'm starting the day in a good place. Sometimes I'll read a little bit. I read a lot of fiction in the morning because I find that it allows me to get more creative. But you find what works for you. I don't have kids, so I have a little bit more space and a little bit more time that I can do that. But it doesn't have to be an hour-long process. It can be 5 minutes where you just allow yourself to really focus on what matters to you and set yourself up for success for the day. Because I think that what we do when we roll over and we pick up our phone while we're still in bed, our subconscious is very open at that point, right? We're still half asleep. And so when you roll over and you look at your phone and the first thing that you see is a client that's complaining about something, that's going to impact how you feel for the rest of the day. And you're giving away your power in terms of how you're setting yourself up for the day, instead of taking control over it. If you start the day in a good place, you've taken care of yourself first, and then you see an email like that, you're far more able to not only contextualize it, but also not allow it to affect you as much.
I love it. And Jess, I think I love the way you think, and we're so much alike. And, one of the things that you said that I absolutely love is that you're not a 5 a.m.
No.
person. And there's a lot of people out there that are already, no, but the thing is, it's
Yeah.
been taught by a lot of people saying that, you got to beat the sun. You got to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's where people start feeling like, what is
They feel
wrong with me? Why
inadequate
can't I get up
immediately.
that time? And if I can't get
Yeah.
up that time, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's this empowering people. And, at the end of the day, And I would say, look, there's no right and there's no wrong. There's just that works, that might work for you or
Yes.
might not work for you. And some of the things that might have worked for me might not work for you, and vice versa. So I would say the one thing that I know is going to work for every single person is if you could just skip this the
100%.
moment you wake up. And an hour for some people will be like, some people like 1 hour without the phone in the morning. I don't know if I can do that. That's fine. Start
Just
with just
start with
5 minutes.
something.
Just
Start with
challenge
something.
yourself to
Yeah.
just, allow your, yes, start with that. And then when it comes down to journaling and reading and affirmations and visualizations and meditations and all that stuff, that's fine. Don't do all of them. I say to you, experiment with them, see
Yes.
which ones are the ones that really move the needle for you, and stick with those ones. And the ones that you're not resonating with, you ain't feeling, you ain't coming to grips with, that's fine. Just because somebody else does it, you don't
Yes.
have to do it, because this whole entire thing is about you. It's not about everyone else. So experiment with it, and whatever works for you, stick with it. Whatever doesn't work, for you, just put it out the window. Don't make yourself wrong for not doing the things that other people are doing. They're doing what works for them. Do what works for you, and that's it. So we're gonna keep going right here, and we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
small lean team. I like that because everyone thinks like I gotta have like this person and that person, and the next thing you know, it looks like a 15, 20 person team, and like then they're like, I don't want that, and then they stop. So can I really build a 7-figure business with a
Oh, of
small lean
course you
team,
can.
Jess?
And I say this to people all the time. I would rather have 2 people on my team doing 50 deals a year than having 10 people on my team doing 10 deals a year. Not only are those 2 people going to be better A players on your team, they're going to be happier. They're going to be more successful as well. They're going to require less support, and your operating costs as well will be lower. And the revenue at the end of the day, or the number of transactions that are happening at the end of the day, it's the same. So why would you choose to? I mean, I see teams all the time. I saw a team the other day that had 25 people on it, and 10 of those people were doing 2 deals a year. Why would you pour
Yeah.
into training, support, all of the things that are required to support an agent on your team for that many people, when if all of that business was condensed down into a smaller group of people, you would have happier people and a lot less stress and a lot less pull on your own time. If you're giving support and answering questions and trying to be there for 25 people as opposed to 2 people, imagine how much extra or free space you could create in your day.
100%. So I want to build this team. Like I'm thinking in the minds of the audience. I want to build this team. What or who should be my
It
first
depends.
hire?
Depends on your strengths, depends on the tasks on your list. So one of the first things that we do with people is we energy audit them. So we look at everything that they're doing on a daily basis and on a weekly basis. And we go through the list. We categorize it into I like doing it, I hate doing it, I love doing it. And then we also look at the basically like the financial return on different activities, right? So is it $1,000 an hour job? Is it a $10 an hour job? Or is it in between? So if someone who is a business owner is their time's worth $1,000 an hour, but they're spending 4 hours a day on $20 an hour tasks, they're actually losing money every single day. It doesn't make
Doesn't make
sense.
sense.
And so, and people will say to me, why would I pay someone $30 to do this job that I can do? Well, if your time is worth $1,000 an hour and you spend an hour doing this $30 an hour job, technically you've lost $970, right? So you have 2 different ways of looking at it. How much is like time with your kids worth? Or time with your partner, or time doing the thing that you absolutely love to do? And how can we make the time that you are working as efficient as possible and push that what is my time worth every hour up? I can usually look at someone's task audit and tell them how much they're making a year, like within a certain degrees of error.
I love it. I think everyone right now should do this. What, for the next 1 week, for the next 2 weeks? How long should they audit
We like to
themselves
do
for?
so. I mean, we do this for our entire team. We're in the process of doing energy audits now because we've just come into the third quarter. But I say, like, you audit for 5 to 7 days every 3 to 6 months.
I like that. I like that. So audit yourself for the next 5 days to begin with, next 5 to 7 days. And basically what, like every hour on the hour, just write down what you did, and next to it, just put down
And
like,
I
love,
want to
or
know
hate. That would
the
be the
starting
starting
point, but
point.
then the other, in my book as well, we actually provide an energy audit template with a video on exactly how to do an energy audit, because I think it's the foundation for all leverage, and it's the foundation for being able to maximize the use of your time. So, and then the next thing that we want to do is categorize, and we give a list of like different tasks and what their actual monetary value is, so that we can actually look at it and say, oh wow, I'm spending the majority of my time doing $10 an hour tasks, when in my head I think that my time's worth $500 an hour. And what would happen if I spent more time doing these things and less time doing these things? What would my overall output actually be, and what would be the benefit to the business overall? And so for some people, obviously we want to eliminate before we outsource. So we want to look and see, we want to eliminate, and then we want to automate. So this is the other issue that I see with a lot of teams. They're following an older model. So they hit their own bottleneck. They become the bottleneck of the business. They hit the maximum of their bandwidth. And the first thing that they do is hire an assistant. Well, a lot of people are paying an assistant or a person $20 an hour to do something that a piece of software can do for $20 a month. And so we want to look at efficiency that way, because that's inefficient from a time standpoint, but it's also very inefficient from a financial standpoint in terms of the profitability of the business. So from there, we only outsource the things that cannot be automated. And then most of the time, it's a lot less than you think. So the business becomes very efficient. And then the human time that is available is spent on the highest leverage activities for those people, and making sure that your clients never feel like any ball could ever possibly be dropped. It provides a better service, a better experience, and more scalability for the business as a whole.
And I can get all of this inside your book. All right, so let's. We're gonna do this twice. We're not done, but I think this is a good place for us to tell people how to get the book.
The easiest place to get the book is Amazon. So it's Amazon.com or Amazon.ca. It is available at Barnes and Noble as well, but I think the easiest is probably Amazon. The audiobook I have just recorded. It was quite a process. I just recorded it. It's not available yet.
Yes.
I'm actually my project for Saturday this week is, my publisher said, I need you to listen to the whole thing. That's going to be an experience, listening to my own voice for however many hours. But yeah, so it's been recorded. I don't know when it's going to be on Audible, but it should be relatively soon.
Coming soon. Awesome. All right, so you can grab the book, More Money, Less Hustle, on Amazon.com or Amazon.ca, and we'll go ahead and link those in the show description underneath the video and the podcast. And now we're going to continue the conversation, because the other question in the back of the mind of the audience is, all right, I love this. Okay, more money. I like this. 7 figures can I do this in a shifting market? Because everybody's in this conversation right now, like the world is falling apart. Like, did I miss the boat? Could I have built this like a while ago and I missed the boat? And now that the market is shifting, can I still make more money in a shifting market, etc.? What are your thoughts about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you know
mean,
what I'm talking
I
about.
love a
Go.
shifting market. I know that everyone feels like they're in this panic, but what an opportunity! And this is something that I think most people don't know. The most number of millionaires in history were created during the Great Depression. And so, what this allows us to do is actually get creative and to elevate what we do. When we're in an easy market, everyone can be an agent and everyone can make money. Now we're in a situation where I actually believe that there will be a divide. I think that there will be people who get out of the industry, which I don't think is a bad thing. I've always said, it feels like everyone and their dog has a real estate license, and not everybody's good at what they do. This is a
Yeah.
great opportunity for the people who are running a real business and who really are taking their business really seriously, because sure, there may be fewer transactions, but people will always have to move. And there are opportunities in this market if you truly understand and you're very good at looking at the data and explaining the data. You have really great messaging. You are creating an audience. You are treating this like a real business, and you're not just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. There is an immense marketing opportunity right now too. One of the people that I work with in our 7-figure agent program, she has 60 clients already set up for the fall market. And the market is shifting. Interest rates are going up. The market is shifting. Inventory is weird. She still has 60 people who are 100% going to do something in the fall. And it just came from consistency and from really, really great messaging. So I actually see this as a good thing because, we talk about the 80-20 rule all the time. But I actually think in real estate, it's more like the 95-5 rule, that 95% of the business is going to be done by 5% of the agents. And so all of those agents who are currently doing, a handful of deals a year, what a great thing if those people get out of the business, and those thousands of people who are doing 5 deals a year, those deals get to be absorbed by the people who are actually going to do an excellent job and who take their businesses really seriously and are able to, the way that I see it, elevate the entire industry and the way that everybody looks at what we do.
So rather than being of the mindset of like the world is falling apart and I'm going to be a person that is going to be impacted in a negative way, I need to be thinking like, well, I need to be hanging around, first of all, as we said earlier, I need to be hanging around with people that are saying, I feel bad for some of the people that
Yeah.
have to exit the business. That's, some people don't belong here, and that's okay. We love them anyways. And then, but I should be excited about being around people that are excited about the upcoming market. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm going to be speaking to a woman tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about the market shift. And that's been the hot topic for quite a while right now. And it's like, she's
course.
having her best year ever.
Yeah.
Like everybody in her marketplace, and she's having her best year ever. So that goes to
What do
say
you
that,
believe?
you know, why would you wait? Yes, exactly. What do you believe? Not only just about the market, but what do you believe to be
Yes.
true about you? Are you a person who has a vision and a drive that could withstand any market shift or not? And then it's like common sense is not common practice. Doesn't it make sense that it's time for you to get up and do your freaking damn job no matter what? Whether the economy is going up or going down. Like, why wait for the world to say we're going in an economic crisis for you to wake up and say, oh, I got to do my job?
1,000%. And I think that there's so many people that will sit on their hands during this period of time. And so for the people who get up and do something and take action and make decisions in their business right now, you're going to be miles ahead of the people who are sitting and waiting to see what happens.
Exactly. Exactly. And right now more than ever, I just want to reference this one more time. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you open
Yes.
this thing up, it's going to tell you how horrible the world is right now, more than 4, 5, 6, 7 months ago. So it's a great time for you to begin to put in the new discipline of like, can I just stay away from this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Like, do a challenge. I'd love for people to like comment on this video and say, well, I did the challenge of like how long I can stay away from my phone in the morning. And I want to see who the winner is going to be, who can stay away from their phone the longest. I want to see if anyone can really break that 1 hour mark. I think that'd be very interesting to see. And Jess, I think this has been amazing. I love your energy. I love who you are and what you stand for this industry that we both love so much. And I know there's a lot of people that great people that need
Yes.
our hand, that need our support, that need our contribution. And that's exactly why we give this time and knowledge to them. And always, towards the end of every single podcast episode, I'm always thinking to myself, like, is there something else that Jess
Mm.
should be sharing with our audience that I did not think of, which always leads me to the final question of like, is there a question that I should have asked you today that I did not ask you that I need to ask you right now?
Maybe. I mean, I would say, of maybe the one question, and I'm just making it up. Chadi, you're amazing. The one question would be, what are the most successful people that I'm currently working with? Like, what's different about them?
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I was
Perfect.
going to ask you.
So and there's a quote that one of my old coaches has used for years, and it's results don't take time, they take courage. And I love that quote because it's just so powerful. And there's so many people who get up every day and do it scared. They make decisions, they go forward, and they just, they know that they can't make a mistake because every single thing that they do is going to be either a success or it's going to be a lesson. And that's what really sets the people apart that I work with who are very successful, because they'll do it scared and they show up whether it feels comfortable or not, because they know that what they ultimately want is more important than that initial discomfort that they're feeling.
I love that. Results don't take time, they take courage. Be
Yes.
courageous. Be courage. I love that. All right, so Jess, they can get the book on
Yep.
Amazon. We already talked about that. And then some people probably want to go above and beyond the book. How can they enter your world? How can they, find out more about you? How can they try to get into whether it's your mastermind or, whatever, programs might be right for them underneath your umbrella? How
Yeah.
do
So
people
what I would do is
get
I
into
would
your
just
work?
go to www.thelistingslab.com. You'll be able to see some information about, we have 3 different levels of programs. There's some information about my book there as well. And it'll allow you to actually book a consult call so you can actually like come in, have a conversation, see whether or not we have something that is a fit. We'll be very, very honest. There are just people that we don't have something that's exactly what they need right now, but what we'll do is we'll help to guide them in the direction of what they need no matter what. And yeah, I mean, everything just at the end of the day comes down to, can we help you, and what's going to be the best fit to get you to that next stage or to what it is that you ultimately really want.
I love it. So the listingslab.com, and we'll go ahead and link that in the show description as well.
Thank you.
Jess, thank you very much for coming on here again. And now I'm going to say you got to go out there and you got to write another book so we can bring you back on again. So, and I can't wait to get the Audible version of it. I love Audible, and I
Awesome.
just can't wait to get that. So when that
Will
comes out,
do.
let us know as well too. We'll make sure that we let our audience know to go grab a copy of it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. And for our audience, the final thought is this. Look, The market is going to do what the market is going to do. The economy is going to do what the economy is going to do. And you have no control over what that is going to look like, but you do have control over what time you go to bed every night, what time you wake up every single morning, what you eat, what you think, who you hang out with, how many people you can contribute to in the marketplace. And right now, because the economy might do whatever it's going to do, there's going to be more people that are going to need your help. And it's your responsibility to gain the knowledge, to gain the expertise, to service more people. And the more of service that you become to your community, the faster you will get to your 7 figures. So give us a good review, a 5-star rating, and tell Jess in a comment below this video how wonderful she is. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys on the next episode.